All right, guys, back to work tonight, Tuesday evening, March the 30th, 2021. My name is Joseph, and as always, welcome back to your nightly newsletter. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time tonight, it's great to have you with me because my job tonight is to help us find the best trade setups for tomorrow. That's Wednesday's hump day trading session. I got a jam-packed video in store for you guys tonight. Charts are all prepped up in the background, as you can see. Got the E-mini, got the Nasdaq, and got the gold on our radar for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, got some big news coming out tomorrow. Got some ranges on the charts in front of me here tonight. And of course, lots of great setups we're tracking for tomorrow. The big question I have, though, is, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? I'm having a hard time finding any short selling opportunities right now on the E-mini, on the Nasdaq, or the gold. So I have to ask you, are you seeing the same bullish clues as I'm seeing right now? Because E-mini, Nasdaq, gold, lots of bear move today, but I'll tell you, it's tough to find a place to get short. Now, with some big news coming tomorrow, that big infrastructure to tomorrow, we might be seeing a nice rally here for the bulls. I'm going to talk more details tonight in this video of why I think the bulls have the edge going into tomorrow, what I'm going to do to capitalize on it, right? The setups I'm watching, and most importantly, there's one big event that may derail these buyers for tomorrow as well. So I want to make sure you're ready to capitalize or know when to stay away from it if that time comes tomorrow. So tonight in the video, a lot to cover here tonight. Before we jump in though, as always, I want to encourage you, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We publish this video newsletter every evening with our best trade ideas for the following day. So make sure you subscribe to our channel here. And when you do, hit the little bell icon so you always get notified every time I publish something new. And if you guys have any questions, you can always drop those questions in the comment section. I would love to answer all your questions here this evening. And as always, if you enjoy this video as much as I enjoy making it, if you like the content here on this video newsletter, do me a big favor, hit that like button, that thumbs up button for me here. Always appreciate you guys carving out some time with me here every evening on this video. So make sure you subscribe, drop those questions below if you got them, and thumbs up on the video here if you enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it. But enough of the introduction. We are a little bit late here tonight. Time is ticking. Wednesday is right around the corner. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, what's the best way to trade this potential bull rally we have going tomorrow? Big news tomorrow. Very difficult to find levels to get short at right now. You'll notice we've got ranges right now, but one very interesting factor of these trading ranges is that we have a lot of what I call rotation off the low, right? Rotation off the low, rotation off the low, rotation off the low. Now, obviously, right, we'll talk about how to buy it, how to sell it. We'll cover all these details here because we've got a lot of opportunities, I think, to be long here, but we got some bearish momentum. So we're going to cover the details of this tonight on the video. Before we jump in though and get these charts going here, let's make sure we check the schedule for tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, is Wednesday. It's March the 31st, the last day of the month of March. I can't believe we're already seeing the month of April starting to creep into the mirror here. So what do we always talk about? The end of the month. We always expect to see more volatility as we go into the end of the month. But, you know, tomorrow is that big infrastructure announcement, that big infrastructure announcement tomorrow, right? I'm kidding with you, obviously. But we're supposed to hear from President Biden tomorrow about his infrastructure plan. Markets are clearly consolidated here this morning and, of course, throughout the week this week because of that. So tomorrow's supposed to be the big day. We're supposed to hear about that infrastructure deal. We've got some big news tomorrow morning at 9:45 Eastern time. So if you could only be at your desk for an hour tomorrow, that 9:45 to 10:45 block is probably going to be where the best setups are going to come tomorrow in our trade room. So really the very, very cut and dry tomorrow. We got Chicago PMIs at 9:45. That will be the big news of the session for traders tomorrow. We've got President Biden here in the U.S. supposed to be announcing that new infrastructure deal. Not sure exactly when we're going to hear from that, but that is probably the only variable that I have for tomorrow that may torpedo this potential rally here for tomorrow. Because, you know, a lot of times we'll see a news event that will come out, you know, an announcement comes out or a Fed announcement, and at first glance, it looks very, very bullish, but the market sells off on that, what really is bullish news. We may see one of those kind of, you know, buy the the rumor, sell the news, type of environments where we may see the market going sideways here today. It may take a dive into that announcement tomorrow and then rebound later on in the week as we go into Good Friday, right on Friday morning. So that's the only thing I'm worried about for tomorrow, because the charts are all saying buy me right now, right? Charts are all saying buy me. So don't forget, every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time in our trade room. Come out and join us every morning as an advanced member here at School of Trade. So rotation off the low. Back to our charts here right now. Lots of ranges, range, lots of rotations off the low here right now. Very difficult to find an easy way to get short. Let's start first tonight on the S&P. The S&P, of course, kicking us off here. Just as we expected in last night's video newsletter, we come back down into that trading range, just pretty much as we had expected. The market right now is relatively straightforward. We have a strong move down into a trading range, right? It is pretty much a range-bound market, as you can see. Not a huge surprise considering tomorrow's big infrastructure announcement. Again, we don't know exactly when that announcement will be, but this does make sense. The markets are waiting on something. The big clue, though, is we get this strong move down for the bears, right? The bears, anytime we see a strong move in one direction, they're going to try to retest that low. And you can see I've got bears trying once, bears trying twice. I'll tell you right now, if this market runs higher here, there's not going to be a lot of sellers left in this market to stand in the way of these bulls. That's one of the biggest reasons why I think it's difficult to find a short setup right now on the S&P, because again, as the market runs higher, I've got rising support here. I've got bears trying twice. So I'd love to capitalize on this move running higher. At the same time, as the market tries to go lower here, now we find ourselves back underneath the range to begin the week. So if we do get that run going lower, again, I don't want to be selling down here. I want to be buying underneath this trading range. So another reason why I'm having a very difficult time right now finding good quality short stops or short places here for us to sell this market here. Again, we are for the most part bearish, but again, you can see there's just not a lot of easy ways to get short. This range, of course, will act as a price magnet, so we want to stay away from that trading range. If the market runs higher, here, there are two specific types of breakouts I'm looking for as we go higher. If we do see this strong run higher, I'm concerned about location, right? Momentum will be good because we're rotating off the low of that range, right? We're coming underneath it and we're rotating back higher here. That rotation from below the range, it kind of winds up this market and makes it very bullish. So I'm not worried about being a buyer if we get this market running higher. What I'm most concerned about is buying into that overhead resistance. With that said, as we go higher, I'd love to get one of those two trap setups on the way up to potentially those all-time highs, but for now, up to retest those major highs. Now, don't forget, there's always an added bonus, right? If you can mark up those highs, mark up that low, and incorporate that trap pattern off the low of that channel. That's one of my favorite buy setups going forward here. Another one would be a simple 1, 2, 3 breakout move. Mark that high, mark that low, and of course, looking to buy the first pullback off the low of that channel, right? We call these 1, 2, 3 reversals into hidden channel pullbacks. Now, of course, I'm not going to just blindly buy that pullback. I'll be looking for one of my favorite entry setups. Could be a seller failure pattern, could be a bullish pullback combination, it could be a strength move or a bear trap off the low of that channel. And you know, guys, I'm not going to go over all of those small details as far as the specific entry triggers in this video, but if you want to learn all the specific entry triggers we use around the edges of these ranges in our 3-step strategy, I would definitely recommend you grab a copy of my free trading course. I'll go into a lot more deeper dive for you up in the upper right-hand corner there. Grab the little pop-up there. I'll go a much deeper dive for all the entry signals, all the entry triggers we use every day in our trade room. So grab that link that popped up if you want to learn more on that. So again, as we try to go higher, bears have tried a few times. There's not going to be a lot to stop those bears as we get there. Now, they may make a run up to those highs, and then we may be able to get a reversal pattern off that high, like a crown reversal, right? Like a 1 try, like a 2 try, and a crown reversal pattern off of that high. In fact, these oftentimes will turn into reversals into hidden channel pullbacks back down into that trading range. So imagine now we go back up, right? We take out those highs. The buyers try to keep it going once. The buyers try to keep it going twice. They fail on that second attempt, and we're shorting into all those stop losses, right? Buyers who are trying to buy that pullback, they're getting caught on the wrong side. You can see an example of it right back here, right? We go up, buyers try once, buyers try twice, and back down into that trading range. So keep that in mind. If we do get that strong move up, shallow pullback, right, that 2-try trap I mentioned earlier, if we do get that run higher, take out those highs, then look for that 1, that 2, that trap, and that failure. Now that failure almost always will shoot back down on strength. When that happens, you can mark up that low, mark up that high, and I can grab that first pullback off the high of that channel. Again, that entry, I'm not just simply selling the top of that channel. I'm using things like failure setups, pullback combination setups, strength moves, and bull traps off the high of that channel. Again, I'll cover a lot more details of those in the free course I linked up in the upper right-hand corner. Now, I do want to stay away from the middle. The middle is not going to be a very friendly place to be trading, and we may end up there for a bit tomorrow as we wait for U.S. President Biden make an announcement about the infrastructure plan. So as the market goes lower here, how do we trade it as it goes lower? I've got key levels of support trend lines. I've got my pendulum swing marked up underneath this range. Lots of reasons to want to buy down here. Not only is it below the range from last week, or I guess earlier this week, right? It's also right around the highs from last week. So lots of great support down there if we get the move to go lower here right now. The one thing you'll have to worry about, though, if the market makes a run lower, is going to be momentum. This is where that momentum comes into play, right? If we do go lower, we rotate off the high of that range, coming on down. That's going to be a rather bearish market if we do take out these lows down here. There are a couple scenarios I'll be waiting for. One is going to be a shallow pullback with a trap. We do expect, because there's been a lot of bulls in here. With this much momentum going lower, you would have thought those bears would have finished off that move. There's obviously buyers here who are probably trying to anticipate tomorrow's big headlines out of the White House, right, with that infrastructure package. So it's obviously been buyers. Buyers have been gobbling up all of these pullbacks right now. So I'd like to see if I could get in on a, take out this low, get those bears to try a couple times, and then use a trap to avoid selling too low. I don't want to selling too high. I don't want to trade inside this trading range right now. And so if I can get a shallow pullback, again, buyers have been defending this very well today. So I would imagine if we do take out one of these lows, if we get underneath these lows back here, we'll probably see bulls trying to go after it again. The challenge, of course, will be the market is going to be too close to that trading range. I don't want to trade inside the range. The best way to trade it is going to be waiting for bears to get caught on a trap scenario and buy into those stop losses, right? So again, a trap setup around those edges. Traps are always my bread and butter whenever I'm trying to avoid, for example here, trading inside of a range, or like I said earlier, if the market runs higher, that trap low to avoid buying into that high, right? That type of trap scenario is used to avoid buying high up there. As we go lower, shallow pullback, that trap scenario is used to avoid trading inside of the trading range, right? Trap set up around those lows. If we keep going lower, right? If the market really runs over, gets down into this area of support now, it's a great location. The problem is momentum. Momentum's going to be the big challenge here. So as the market pulls back, I've got to give the sellers the benefit of the doubt, right? Lots of bearish momentum on that chart. So if we do end up going lower, I do want to be a buyer down here, but I'll have to wait for a failure pattern that tries twice. We call these nested failure patterns. And I go into a lot more details on these particular setups because there are quite a few variations. I cover a lot more of this in that free trading course I linked up in the upper right-hand corner. But again, one try, two try. Let those bears try twice. That will, of course, give me an easy target to buy right into those stop losses. Now, there's a couple ways you can trade this. You can buy off the trend line. That's always kind of the best entry. But sometimes you won't get the trend line. Sometimes the trend line is too flat, or it's just sometimes you won't get that trend line there. So stops, of course, are getting run above that high. Keep in mind, too, if the market was to run lower, go one try, and then up again, be very careful with those steep channels. Those types of 1-2s, I try to stay away from those. If you see those types of nested failures, what you'll usually end up doing is instead of buying into that range, just simply mark that low and buy that trap. So it's the same idea we talked about before, right? Strong move down, give the bears the benefit of the doubt, let them try a couple times. Just be aware if that failure setup is really steep like that, and the only way you can get in is to buy inside that trading range. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to trade inside that range. So when you're concerned about buying too high, focus on a trap setup back up into that trading range. And then clearly, this could get really good here for these buyers as the market pendulum swings back in the opposite direction, right? So profit targets come off at the top of that range, leave that final runner, right, for that pendulum swing back on the opposite side. This is a very feasible possibility tomorrow, very possible scenario tomorrow, because again, a lot of times major news that comes out, like for example, this infrastructure package tomorrow, or anything that is seen as good news for the economy, a lot of times it's the buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing, where it'll sell off and then snap back up into that trading range towards the end of the morning, end of the session tomorrow. That's the only thing that I see could be kind of a little bit of a torpedo for the buyers here tomorrow, will be that sell-off post the Biden infrastructure announcement. Now, if we do get a strong move down, and if the bears can hold that pullback, now that creates that breakout, and that will ultimately be a 1, 2, 3 breakout move. Now, that, of course, will break us free of this trading range, and we'll then go back, I would imagine, into that range down here at that 39.20 area. So there is a magnet down there at 39.15, 39.20 area. If we do get that 1, 2, 3 move, if we do get this 1 strong move down, 2 pull back to the moving average, and 3 jump off the moving. Remember, it's not enough to see a strong move down. You have to hold that pullback and jump. That's the key to a breakout or a reversal. It's not enough to just see a strong move down. I have to get those bears to commit and actually run this thing lower. If they don't, they'll try once, they'll try twice, and we'll be waiting to buy into those stop losses for that rally back up into that trading range. If they can hold that move and run lower, that creates that 1, 2, 3 breakdown. Now we have a lot of momentum. We have a range acting as a magnet. I'm going to mark that low. I'm going to mark that high and look for that first test, right? That first pullback off the high of that channel. And again, these are buyer failures, right? These are bull traps into pullbacks, into strength moves as they go lower. Again, I'm not going to go over all the small details of those entry triggers, but I will gladly cover those details in that free trading class that popped up there earlier on. The biggest challenge is tomorrow, stay out of the middle. Very difficult right now to find an easy way to get short on this market, so be careful shorting this thing, especially if it goes higher and if it goes lower, right? Unless they can hold that move and keep it going, I'm going to keep on looking to be a buyer here on the S&P, or until something changes, right? Until we get some more information here tomorrow morning. And as always, don't forget, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we get the plan put together. We'll trade this stuff together tomorrow morning in our trade room. Let's keep going. How about some Nasdaq right now? Nasdaq is looking very similar here to the S&P. The Nasdaq is a very pronounced rotation off the low, as you can see here. So what happened today? Well, again, as we expected, the market came back down into that trading range from earlier on in the week. This time around, what really happened was you get this strong move down here. The move then reverses off that low with a very strong move. Now, a strong move is a very big clue because it leaves a magnet, and believe it or not, they actually barely missed that. They didn't get it, right? It was actually 1 or 2 ticks away from it. So that open loop is still there acting as a magnet. Long story short, strong move down for the bears. They go up with a strong move and they settle in here for a trading range, right? Now, what's going to happen is if this market runs higher here right now, all of that momentum as we, again, rotate off the low makes it very difficult to short this market as the market runs higher. If the market runs lower, it's still just as difficult because once we take out those lows, now we have this trading range acting as a magnet overhead. On top of that, again, remember, these are ranges back here, right? So if we get underneath those ranges, we still have some great potential here to go back up into that range because, ranges act like magnets. So a lot like the S&P, it's difficult to find an easy way to get short on this market right now. We've got major tops overhead, right? Major bottoms underneath us, the range, of course, acting as a magnet. With that said, let's clean up the chart a little bit. And let's talk about kind of what the plan is right now. Now, again, if the market runs higher here, right? If the market runs higher here, we get that strong bear move down. The bears have already tried once. Now, remember, on the S&P, the bears have now tried twice, right? We go down, the bears try once, the bears try twice. That's why I said, if this thing goes higher, there's not going to be that many bears left to stop this thing from racing through those highs here. The Nasdaq is a little bit delayed on this, right? So strong move down, the bears have tried once. We have to get that higher high and those bears trying twice, which really sets things up here for a possible hidden channel and a nice buy right off of that low. That's one of the things I'm watching for here as we go, or if we go higher here. So think of it this way: if we do go higher here in the overnight or tomorrow morning in the U.S. morning session, if the buyers can get this thing going higher, let's just say, for example, they make that run higher here, I can now mark that high, I can mark that low, and what you want to do is you want to get underneath the moving average and get one of those failure into pullback combinations. Now, I talked briefly about this earlier, right? When I mentioned that free course, right? Those failure patterns into pullback combinations. That will be a great setup because then bears try once, bears try twice. Great example of a 2-try rule in action. And we know the target, of course, is up to retest those highs. That's one of my favorite ways to trade this as it turns, right? There'll be a rising support trend line here. It'll be difficult for sellers to find an easy way to get short. That's when I want to be buying aggressively, when I can see those bears are boxed in with nowhere to go. Another setup would be that strong move higher, that shallow pullback to the moving average, that higher high in price, and that trap off the low. Now, why would I look for a trap at this point? Because I'm worried about buying too high into the highs of that trading range. And again, extra bonus points for combining highs off lows and triggering that trap long off the low of that channel. Great opportunity there on the Nasdaq as we go higher. Another thing I'm thinking is if we get this move up, this pull back and that blast through these highs, right? Again, big news tomorrow morning. We got Chicago PMI at 9:45. We get the infrastructure plan for tomorrow as well. So strong move up, hold the pullback, jump through these highs now, right? Through these highs, what do we do? Mark that high, mark that low. Hell yeah, right? Buy that first pullback. And again, we're not just simply blindly buying it, right? Looking for seller failures, looking for bear traps into pullback combinations, into strength moves, going higher. You'll learn a lot more about that stuff in our free video class here at School of Trade. Where's my target going to be, right? Where's my target going to be on this buy? Up, 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 up into that 15150, let's say, right? 140, 160. That is that prior top overhead here. That will be an easy run for these buyers if they can get their hooks in this thing here tomorrow. Now, like I mentioned earlier, though, we may get one of those, buy the rumor, sell the news environments where the news may come out tomorrow, the announcement may come out, it may sound like it's just heaven for the economy, right? Why wouldn't the markets rally higher? Oftentimes when we get news like that, the market will sell off almost as if to give the market makers a chance to buy it at the lows, right? Get a good entry and rip it back higher here. So if we do sell off here, right? If we do sell off, what's my concern going to be? Not location, right? I would love to buy the pullbacks. I would love to buy these areas. What's my concern, though? It's momentum, right? Momentum's going to be very bearish at that point, right? Now, again, being a bear market doesn't mean it's going to be easy for sellers to get short down here. We're underneath these ranges. Ranges act like magnets. So, again, like on the S&P, I've got this low here, and the reason why I marked this one up is because the buyers are doing a great job at defending this, right? You get this big bear move down. Why on earth did they not finish that move off, right? Why have they not finished off that move? It looks like buyers are prepared to gobble up anytime the price gets below that moving average. So I want to be ready for it, right? If we do take out that low here, what's my concern? My concern is I don't want to trade inside the range. The best way to avoid it is look for a trap entry, right? Traps are always great to buy underneath a range or, again, buying into the highs. In this case here, bears want to get or bulls want to get just below that prior swing and then buy it right back up again. At that point, what you want to do is take a quick target off at the top of that range. If you got some more, top of the highs, and leave that runner back up to retest those major highs for tomorrow. As we go lower here, if we do dig into this area here, right? What happens here now? Great spot to get long. Get that range overhead. We're underneath this range as well, right? I love this area right here. I would love to get down into this green, right, in this 775 area and then back up into that trading range. Only problem is momentum. It will feel very bearish by the time we get down into that 12,760. Look for these two key setups. One of them is called a nested failure. Bears try once, bears try twice. Remember, you want to wait for them to pull back to the moving average, right? Wait for that pullback and then look for that snap back and go, right? And usually that will come in off of a channel. So again, as we go lower, momentum is for the bears now. We're in a great spot to be a buyer. Let them try twice, right? I'm not trying to pick a bottom in this market. Picking a bottom, picking a top is a fool's game. It's very difficult to pick exact tops and bottoms consistently. I'm not saying I couldn't do it every once in a while, right? But trying to pick the top and bottom every single day, it's like hitting the jackpot, right, at the craps table every single day in Las Vegas. It's probably not going to happen. The odds are stacked against you. So rather than trying to pick the bottom here, right, I'll gladly wait for the bears to try a few times. Again, I always like to draw up that trend line, buy off that trend line, buy into stop losses, right? Those are two ways to trade that nested failure pattern. And then again, mark up that high, mark up that low, and that first pullback off the low is a really nice add-on, right? Almost like a little cherry on top as the market swings back in the opposite direction. Don't forget, take some profit off the top of that trading range, measure the amount below the range, project that above the range, and leave that runner, baby. That will be a great spot to leave that runner as we go into the rest of the session tomorrow. That's one of my favorite setups when we get those big moves down, right? Let those bears try twice, right? Let them try once, let them try twice. Buy right into those stop losses. Use that range as the magnet. And then, of course, as always, if we do get that strong run down, if the bears can hold that pullback and go, remember, it's not enough to have a strong move down. They got to hold it and go, right? Got to hold it and go. So if we can get that strong move down, take out these lows. If they can hold that pullback and run, well, now we have, basically, now this trading range is no longer the magnet. At that point now, these bears are most likely hunting for that 12,610 area. 12,610 is that big low. It stands out like a sore thumb down there, right? It is easy to see that 12,610 low. So if we can break free of this range, that is chances are where these bears are trying to go. Just again, don't go being foolish and trading that breakout, right? Breakouts are for rookies. You are not a rookie anymore if you're watching this late into this video right now. So strong move down, shallow pullback. Pull back to the moving average, jump off the moving average, right? We call these what? 1, 2, 3 breakout patterns. Mark that low, mark that high, and we're selling off the high, right, of that channel. First test is always the best test. And again, we're not just blindly selling the highs. We're looking for bull traps, buyer failures into pullback combinations, and strength moves as we come off the top of that channel. Again, I'm not going to waste our time and go into all the details of those entry triggers, but I will gladly give you more details on those inside the free trading course. Grab a little link up there in the upper right-hand corner to learn more of these specific entry techniques we use every day in our trade room. So again, very difficult to find a place to get short, right? Unless we can get these bears to really push this thing going lower, it is very difficult here to find a place to get short. The biggest concern I have for tomorrow is stay out of the middle of this trading range. And again, I think the only thing that really has potential to torpedo this thing right now are people trying to anticipate that sell-off ahead of the announcement for that infrastructure package, right? That big tax hike we got coming here soon for all you income earners out there. So Nasdaq's looking good, right? Nasdaq's looking good there. Let's wrap things up here now on the gold. Finishing up here on the gold tonight. So gold, of course, boy, oh boy, gold goes to rollover last week. The market makes a strong run down yesterday and finishes it, completes it with another strong run down right here today. Now, we get that weekend gap still. We get that range overhead still. That is still a very sticky. Look at that range. Look at that range up there. Is that incredible? Look at that range. It's probably the biggest range I've seen all year. I guess maybe not all year, but right, pretty darn big range there. That will continue to be a magnet. And look where we are right now. We're right at this major bottom here. So talk about a tough place to get short right now, right? Anybody want to sell into that area of support? No, definitely not. So we have a lot of bearishness right now. There's no doubt about that. But we are really in a very difficult spot here, as I mentioned earlier, to justify being a seller. I think the most important clue, though, that we see is this combination of a measured move overshoot into rotation off the low. So first of all, anytime we reach a measured move, that measured move, right? First of all, anytime we reach a measured moves are thought to be a major objective, right? A major area of support. When we go through a measured move and then come back above it, and you can see we're sitting right on top of it, what that does is it puts a big stamp of approval right on that measured move area of support. So now here's the problem. The sellers have a very difficult job on their hands. If the market goes higher now, right, which would be required here to attract more bears, right? Nobody wants to sell this low in the chart. If we do pop up higher here now I've got a big headache on my plate. Now I've got that support level in the way. I have a trend line now coming up. This is going to be very difficult, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record right now, but this is very difficult to find a place to get short right here for the bears. There's no easy, clear line of sight for those sellers, right? So this measured move overshoot, in my eyes, is always a good heads up for a potential reversal. Now, we're not quite there yet. We're definitely not reversing yet. This market could easily, right, take out those lows here and put the end to that measured move overshoot. The next thing we have though is how the market went through it and then came right back up into a trading range. Now, we've seen a lot of these today, right? These rotation off the low. So we go through the low, we come back up, and now we're going sideways into that range. Again, if we do get up into resistance areas up above that range now, because ranges act like magnets, and so typically when we see a trading range, we're buying low, we're selling high, using failure patterns. If I try to use a failure pattern right now to get short here above these highs, what's my problem? My problem is a lot of momentum and a big trend line right in my way. That's going to be an easy way to lose money there for those sellers. Now, that may work, it may go through it, but that is a trade that I do not want to be taking, because you're trying to get short when you've got all of this momentum running higher and you've got that just obvious support trend line right in your way. So again, having a hard time here finding a way to get short on this. It's a measured move overshoot. It's a rotation off the low, and then combine that with this rising support trend line. So let's talk this thing through here, right? What's the plan here? Now, what I would love to get, if I had it my way tomorrow, what I'd love to get is get a strong run higher. If I can see a strong run higher and a pullback, we can now look for something like this, where we can draw that leg up, find that channel, and wait for those bears now to come in and try it again. Okay, what happens a lot of times on these is you'll draw that trend line over, find that new channel. The bears, who have all of this momentum, this is their first try, they'll try a second try, and oftentimes you'll get that failure into pullback combination, right, off of that low, right? We talked about this on the Nasdaq earlier. Remember, the S&P, remember the S&P before, right? S&P had that bear move down, one try, two try, back up, right? This is the same idea. So now if we do end up, right, so here's the bears trying once. Okay, there's your bears trying once. Let's say they go higher again now. Let them try a second time, right? Now that's bears once, bears twice now. Now mark up that high, mark up that low. That will usually put you just underneath the moving average. Look for those bears get caught getting short back into the range. Now we have that rising support here, right? There's no easy way for these bears to sell this thing right now, which is a great opportunity for me to get long, right? A failure into pullback combination. Sellers fail into a pullback combination, into a strength move, trap moves, right? Failure, pullback, strength, traps as we make that run going higher here. Another scenario to keep in mind would be if this market jumps higher, we get that shallow pullback and that higher high in price. Another example where I can mark that low, I can mark that high, mark that low, and again, bonus, if you can combine that trap off the low of that new channel, right, coming in. We already know where this market wants to go, right? If this thing takes off to the upside, we know where it wants to go. It wants to go all the way back to that range for the beginning of the week here. Might not make it all the way back there tomorrow, right? But the bulls do have a great incentive here to get long and stay long if this market does reverse. Now, I can imagine right now you're probably wondering, okay, Joe, at what point can we sell this thing, please, right? There has to be at least one chance to sell this thing. There is. My only problem is this trend line coming up now. So if the market does end up going higher here, what's my concern? I have two concerns, right? One is this rising support. Two is momentum, right? Momentum's way too bullish. But again, right, you say, well, but look, it's a big bear move down. They're going to want to sell up here. Okay, so what's the best way to get short on a situation like this? we have to, first of all, we have to absorb the bullish momentum. So let those buyers try once, let them try twice. Then look for a trap, because of course, traps are your bread and butter when you're trying to avoid selling into support. That's the trade I want to sell this thing, right, as it goes back higher. Now remember, there's going to be a fine line here. This is a short, right? This is a short. If this market though goes really, if it starts to really escalate running higher there, that's when you go, okay, now this thing is too bullish. Mark that high, mark that low, and again, those failure into pullback combinations, right, as we go back down. So we really have to stay inside. Really, we've got to keep a lid on this thing, if you will, before this thing starts to kind of break away here and run higher. So if we do go up, right, up into our sell zone here overhead, let those buyers try twice to absorb that bullish momentum as we rotate off the low. Look for that trap, because you don't want to sell into that trend line, right? So look for that trap above that high. Great setup to sell short, so we're not selling into that rising support. That will ultimately be probably the only easy way for us to sell this thing if this market runs, right, if it runs higher here. As we go lower, what's the plan as we go lower? Again, stay out of the middle. How do we buy it? How do we sell it? Again, this low down here, that 75.9 is a huge level of support. It stands out like a sore thumb. Everybody will see it. So as we go lower, we take out those lows, right? That would make a lot of sense, right? Strong move down leaves a magnet at that low. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do finish off that low. Then what do? I let the bears wrap that rope around their neck, right? Let those bears dig their own grave. Remember, they're at a major area of support right now. Once those bears try once they try again, I'm not going to get too aggressive on it because we're so bearish, right? I'm not going to be foolish about a failure pattern. I'll go a nested failure. Let those bears try twice. I can buy off that trend line. I can buy into, right? I can buy into stop losses. There, again, are a lot of nuances, a lot of variations to this particular entry setup. I cover a lot of those inside the free trading class. There's a little button up there for you in the upper right-hand corner. And then remember, if we do get that reversal, mark up that high, mark up that low, and grab that pullback off of that low. At this point, mark up that pendulum swing. That'll give you a nice, easy target for you as you make that run back higher, right? Does that make sense out there? Am I making sense out there? Hit that thumbs up button for me, real please, right? If it does, right? If not, drop me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know where I lost you, and I'll be sure to circle back on that, right, later on or later on in the week, all right? So if we do get, again, strong run down, location's great. Momentum is what's difficult. To avoid that, one try for the bears, two try for the bears. Stops are right above those highs. We're buying into stops. If we can get enough rotation back higher, mark that high, mark that low, and hit them again off the low of that channel. Failure, pullback combination as we go higher. Strength move right up to that pendulum swing on the opposite side. Now, as the market goes lower, strong move down, hold the pullback, jump off the moving average. What do we call that? 1, 2, 3 breakout, pretty much. 1, 2, 3 move, mark that low, mark that high, and we're, of course, first test is the best test off the high of that channel. And if it really hits the fan tomorrow, right? If things really sell off here on the gold, you know, right? That strong move down, that shallow pullback. The shallow pullback is what creates the FOMO. The shallow pullback is what creates that sense of urgency. That lower low in price is what confirms the move. In that situation, watch that trap. Watch that trap high. A great setup to get short here. If we do see this thing just completely fall apart here as we go lower. And again, as always, right, added bonus points for combining a hidden channel with that trap entry going lower here. Remember, if the market sells off like that, if it runs lower, shallow pullback, that high right there is on everyone's radar because that's where folks wanted to get in originally. If it comes back again, they're not going to let it. They're not going to let that slip through their fingers a second time around. Where's the next objective down here? The next objective is all the way down at 1637.5. So, boy, the buyers and the sellers have plenty of blue skies above and green grass below right now. There's a lot of open space there to party with tomorrow here in the trade room. So, again, the only variable going into tomorrow is when will we hear from U.S. President Biden regarding this infrastructure plan? Will the market chop and go sideways beforehand, and will we get that, sell the news and then rally late in the week here? That is one of the variables we're watching for here tomorrow. Now, don't forget, tomorrow morning we'll be here before you know it. I would love to have you there trading right along with us. It's easy to get registered. I'll put all the membership links you guys need in the description of this YouTube video, or if you're on the blog right now at Sideways Markets, I'll put a big fat button for you right below the video tonight. Grab that button, get registered as a new member, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at the opening bell. We open up at 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday through Friday in our trade room. Please don't be afraid to call the office. I'm always here if you guys have any questions. I can always walk you through the registration process, and of course we have live chat on the left, live chat on the right, and you can always post questions for me in the comment section below. But that's it for me, guys. Have a great rest of your evening out there. Sorry to keep you waiting so late here tonight. I tried to get this video done as early as possible, but I will try better next time, I suppose. As always, my name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.